Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Booty Monique and I am here with a travel story video. Now, today's topic is quite personal. It's a little touchy, but I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. And I'm sure you've seen a bunch of YouTube videos with this title, Racism in Japan. What do Japanese people think of black people? Is Japan racist? I'm gonna give you my personal experience in Japan dealing with race. I did a video about what it was like being black working in a Japanese office, but I never actually dove into racism in Japan. So today's video is about that, my own personal experience, and I think you may be surprised by what I'm actually going to say. All right, so May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to talk about how racism really affected me in Japan, affected my mental health, almost to the point where I was thinking about going home. And I think I could say this for, I don't like speaking for the whole community, but black people typically don't have access to like therapy, and we don't as a community talk about our mental health too often. But I've seen in the last couple of years that we are starting to promote therapy and promote talking about our mental health, which is positive. Like, that is a positive thing that is happening in our community, and I hope that we keep going forward. I don't think there's enough conversation about how racism really affects our mental health, and I'm gonna dive into that today. I just want to give you my story and how I dealt with racism in Japan. All right, so when I graduated college, I went to Japan to teach English for a year. The first time going there, I was doing a study abroad program in Tokyo. So I lived in Tokyo, then I moved there to teach English in Gifu, and then I moved back and taught English in Nagoya. So I lived in three separate places. Being there, you meet a lot of different foreigners. You meet foreigners from America, from Britain, from China, from South Korea, like all these different places, Australia, and you get to interact with a bunch of different people. But what I've really noticed traveling is that a lot of people have very narrow views of what black people are supposed to be like, and that was mainly my frustration. Like, I'm already put in a box in America. In Japan, I was put in a smaller box, so it felt it felt cramped. I just felt like I couldn't like spread my wings and be who I wanted to be. Racism coming from Japanese people, it was a bit hard to tell apart because a lot of time there's discrimination towards foreigners, discrimination towards women, discrimination towards black people, and I'm not fluent in Japanese, and I didn't know if it was because of those three things, one of those three things. So it was the first week of school, and I was meeting my students for the first time. All of my adult students were totally fine with me from what I can tell, and my kids, on the other hand, they were a little bit more apprehensive, which I understood because, you know, I'm black. A lot of times when you go to these foreign countries, if you're black, you may be the first black person they ever met. I understood that there were gonna be some hesitation towards me, but I was not prepared for this encounter. I met my 10-year-olds. We grouped them up by age, and this one particular kid came up to me and he was like, huh? Negro. Excuse me? I have never been addressed as a Negro in my entire life. So I'm gonna be honest, my heart was beating out of my chest. I was nervous. I was offended. It was just so many emotions happening at once. So what did I do? I asked my Japanese co-teacher to explain to him and his parent or guardian, which he actually got the backstory on that. His grandfather taught him that word, and his grandfather served in one of the wars and encountered a bunch of Negroes, and that's why he was able to basically figure out what I was initially seeing me, because a lot of times kids did not really understand where I came from. They were like, I don't know, is she from Africa? I don't know, is she from Brazil? Where is she from? America is never the first place they think of when they see me. So it was just really weird that he called me a Negro. Like, when it comes to kids saying racial slurs and stuff like that, I kind of have to just toss it up to whoever is raising them, because, you know, kids don't know any better and they don't understand the concept of race. Some of my other students would say kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say racist things, but like kind of offensive things. Like, one of my students called me Kuro Sensei, which is make a black teacher, or Bakemono, which is monster, like that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure. I mean, I have a feeling it's probably because I'm black. Definitely the first one. Kuro Sensei is definitely because I'm black. But Bakemono, I don't know. It could be because I'm black. It could be because I'm a girl. Who knows? But yeah, with the kids, like, that's the most that I would actually hear racist things. And like I said, I don't really fault kids on that type of stuff. And honestly, I did not get a lot of racist encounters when it came to Japanese adults. There were moments where the vibe felt weird, but then again, I didn't know if it was because I'm black, because I'm a foreigner, because I'm a woman. I didn't know. So I couldn't just say it was because I was black. But there were some moments where it was weird. But I didn't have all of the information, so I can't just say it was racist. Now, let's get into a story. Before we get into the story, actually, let me tell you, the company I worked for, I was the only black person. I was the youngest, and I wasn't the only girl, but I was the only black woman in this specific section of the company. So most of my coworkers were either white or Asian, but it was mostly white people and maybe 2 or 3 Asian, then me. The racism that I dealt with the most in Japan was white men from Western countries. I know, big surprise. Woo! Let me stop being shady. Okay. Anyways, so this one particular story sticks out to me. Now, when I got there was a lot of microaggression, a lot of things they would say that was just like, ugh, that seems a bit racist. But you know, I was the only black person and the only black woman, so I didn't want to come off as stereotypically angry in addressing every single issue. I didn't want to do that. My main focus was to make sure I was a good educator for those kids, and I let a lot of the things they would say pass. Like, I just wouldn't address it. I wouldn't say anything. I was 22 at the time. This was my first real job, and I wanted to do really well, and I wanted to make friends. I wanted my coworkers to be my friends, because at the end of the day, we're all foreigners in this country and we're just trying to do our best. Now, I'm not going to say all of my white coworkers were this way. It was mainly 2 guys that were in their late 30s and early 40s that I had this really bad interaction with. And what's funny is that one of them kind of treated me like a little sister, because I was the youngest in the group. He just kind of like helped me out a lot in the beginning, the first couple of months. So the story starts off, okay. let me Now, there was no violence and all of that stuff, so don't worry. I'm not going to tell you this like horrific story. I just want to tell you about this particular incident that kind of led me into like a slight depression when I was in Japan. One day after a meeting, we went to this bar, this Australian bar that's known to have a whole bunch of foreigners. We went there a lot. So it was a typical like weekend, a typical Friday. We are having a good time. We're drinking, all of us, my coworkers, my friend. I only had really one good friend there, and we had a blast, and it was nothing out of the usual. In Japan, when people are having a good time, people are drunk, karaoke is literally the first thing they go to is just like, yeah, let's do karaoke. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't think nothing of it. The bartender who I was friends with gave me the mic. This happens a lot. If you're a black woman in Japan, you probably know that Japanese people think that you automatically can dance and you can automatically sing because that's what they see black women do in media. And I politely passed that mic. And I was like, oh no, I'm okay. The mic gets passed to my two coworkers, I don't want to call them that, but you know, the insensitive coworkers, and they pick out a song. Now, this is nothing out of the usual because they'll pick like these old 80 rock songs, and I'm used to that. But that night, they decided to pick a Biggie Smalls song. When I saw it, I was confused. I was puzzled. I was like, okay. Now, if you listen to any Biggie Smalls song, you know that there's a lot of N-word in the songs. And so I was automatic. My heart's just like, oh God, this is the test. Oh my God. They're rapping and they're into it. They're drunk and they're rapping hard. And you can see on the screen, you know, the English lyric, and I see the N-word coming up, and I'm just like, please prove me wrong that you're not gonna do this to me. I'm the only black person in this bar. Please don't say it. They said it over and over and over and over again. So when I heard it, man, it feels like I'm going right back into that spot. I was sitting at the bar and my heart just dropped. I was shocked. I was angry. I wanted to cry because these were the people that I was working with. These were the people I was calling my friends. And at that moment, either I didn't exist to them or they didn't care. Either way, I was hurt. I lost all of my respect for them at that moment because I just thought that they respected me more than to say the N-word over and over again, repeatedly, in front of my face. I wish you guys could have seen like how close I was. So it's not like they didn't see me. I was right next to them. They didn't care. They were just rapping a song. But at that moment, I just felt that you guys don't really give a F about me. You don't care. They understand the historical like weight of that word and the fact that I was the only black person in the room, and it was written all over my face. My friend actually told me like, hey, let's go ahead and go, you know, you're not feeling it anymore. Of course I'm not feeling it anymore. I literally lost respect for the two coworkers that was basically my senpais. Like, they were training me, guiding me, talking to me, helping me with a whole bunch of different issues I had in Japan. I was relying on them to make me a better educator because they had been there for a long time. At that moment, I was just like, well, now who do I talk to? My boss was a very busy lady, and she was there, okay? She was at the bar. She saw me walk out with my friend, and not once did she call, text, and be like, hey, are you okay? She knew I was upset. Of course, next time I see all of them, act like nothing happened. No apologies, no anything. And I understand they were like basically drunk out of their minds, but you hurt one of your coworkers by saying that word you didn't have to say. Like, if you say it in the privacy of your own home, all right, but I was already feeling like the minority in the group because I was. Now I just feel like an outcast. So after that whole thing, I started to avoid going out with them. I kind of slipped into a depression. I was drinking a lot. I was going to work hungover, which was not fair to my kids, but I didn't know how to deal with being in this country and not being able to connect with my coworkers. I felt really lonely, and drinking was my coping mechanism at the time. I've dealt with a lot of like microaggression, even racism in high school. but nothing so blatantly in my face. But I guess because I trusted them and I respected them and I thought, you know, they liked me and respected me as their coworker, I was just unbelievably hurt. And I didn't want to get in this mindset that all white men are like that, but I just didn't want to be around them. So I am lonely, depressed, and living in a foreign country where you're damn near invisible because nobody wants to talk to you because you're the black foreigner. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, should I go home? I was like, if I go home, I might have to work at Walgreens because, you know, a degree means absolutely nothing in America. I didn't want to go home and be a failure, so I stuck it out even though I was severely depressed. And I stayed in my apartment for any time that I had a day off. I just stayed in my apartment. I didn't want to be looked at. I didn't want to talk to anybody. But I will say this, something kind of like, there was a situation towards the end of the year, no, after New Year's, that I had to decide that I need to make the best out of this experience. And I started to branch out, become friends with Japanese people, honestly. I just said, forget my coworkers. Some of them were the Japanese teachers at my school, and I am still friends with them till this day. And we made so many memories together. Obviously, my friend that's from Canada, we had stayed in touch. We were hanging out still. And I just had to kind of change my mindset and just be like, you know what? Those people that I work with are just assholes. Nothing else to say. They don't care about me. They don't respect me, my culture. So to hell with them. I just focused on the positive things that I had in front of me, and I ended up making the rest of that experience a very positive one. I ended up meeting an amazing black girl from Louisiana. Her name's Tiffany, and I adored her. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, I love my friend from Canada. I love my Japanese friends, but it's something about just being around, you know, another black person that really understand what you are going through as a black person in Japan. I'm just gonna make my own little friend group, and I really like had fun the last maybe 3 months of Japan. Now I found my voice, okay? That shit won't happen again. If it did happen, best believe I'm raising hell in whatever establishment that I am at. I just was a very young person and very shy, and I just didn't know how to articulate myself and let my coworkers know, like, hey, that's not cool. I just kind of sat on it, and it manifests to like just being severely like depressed. I'm not that way anymore. All right, so that's pretty much one of the racist stories that happened to me overseas. There's more. I don't want to focus on that too much, but I just wanted to talk about that because it really led to like my mental health declining when I was over there, that particular situation. And I just want you to know, especially if you're black, especially a person of color, that it is okay to talk about your mental health, to be open and honest and grow from it, heal from it. It's totally fine. So, all right, let's wrap it up. Okay. You know me with the shameless plug. I just dropped a new shirt. Okay, this is the Brown Girls Be Traveling like original design, but in this beautiful spring color. It kind of looks blue on the screen, but it's actually like a really pretty mint. And this is just like the perfect travel top. It's so lightweight. I think you all will love it. And then on the back it says Brown Girls Be Traveling. It is on the website, so please go check it out. My brand is to uplift and encourage black and brown women to travel and tell your stories like I did today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like the story, and I will see you all next time. Remember folks, brown girls be traveling. Bye.